Hey you guys, thanks so much for visiting with me again. We are back in my yard to do another garden tour. Today we're gonna take a stroll through my side yard area. My side yard is kind of a combination of, a tropical planting that fits along with my backyard space if you saw my previous video. But this kind of serves as more of a privacy buffer, and I've been kind of excited to do this video because, typically side yards are really nothing to rave about, but I kind of wanted to make sure that it flowed and it had that same continuity that my front and my backyard had. So I wanted a tropical layer, a little bit of softness, a little bit of that same feel before it opens up to the backyard space. And to do that in about a 19-foot space was pretty hard. I have exactly 19 feet from the edge of my the edge of my foundation of my house to the edge of my property line, and I pretty much used every bit of that. So. As we walk through this area, I'll list the names of the plants and the trees that I chose to use for this space, in hopes that this might help you guys kind of, give you inspiration of what might work in your location. We're here in zone 10A, Vero Beach, Florida, and we get a couple frosts a year, but overall, the battle that we fight is all the heavy rains. So these are tried and true plants and trees that I have in my own space, and they've just overall been troopers in my garden. So I tend to use them over and over again in different applications through other people's yard, because I know what they're going to do in time. So stroll with me through the garden, and I hope this gives you guys some inspiration. But first, for those of you who may not know me, my name is Jennifer Bevins. I am owner of Construction Landscape along with my husband here in Vero Beach, Florida. We are zone 10A. We specialize in landscape design and installation. So for every installation that we do, we prepare a design, a before and after, really to work directly with my clients. I do the design work and meet with my customers and oversee the installation of the project, and my husband kind of does everything else with the crew. So he's kind of the yin to my yang. So he's very, very much involved in the overall the project of yards. So again, we specialize in residential homes, so it's front yards, backyards, side yards, and I would be happy to help you guys with anything you might need. We work from as far south as Stuart, Florida, down to up to Melbourne, Viera location. So give us a call. And for those of you who are outside that area and just kind of looking for a little bit of inspiration, I will list every plant and tree that we have in this area. It gives you some ideas of some plants and trees that you can work with in such a narrow location. So walk with me and let's get started. A little excitement? Can we show a little excitement to our folks? You're not gonna want? He's tired.
I think he is tired.
Let's go. So this is the entrance to my side yard from my front yard space. Right here we have a mix of porterlines. I love porterline plantings. To the front we have some porterlines that can handle some sun. So to the front there are Florica, and these are Maries. And they do a really good job of kind of help buffering these harlequin, which are some of my favorite. I love this watermelon color, but they really can't take too much sun. So the other quarter lines are kind of doing the job for them, which, everybody needs a friend like that. So these guys are really fleshing out, really, really happy in their location. To the top here are Chinese fan palms, and I planted those about 4 years ago. So the backdrop is something that I started with pretty initial, just kind of getting everything growing and going for kind of creating that buffer. And then as over the last couple of years, I've really put in the small materials. So right now these Chinese fan palms are probably about 12, 13 foot tall. And I do know that they're going to really create that canopy shade for another couple of years. And then, they're going to get about 17, 18 foot tall, and they're going to be, outside my, outside that range, which is perfectly fine, because I will choose a smaller dwarf palm to go underneath of those to kind of create that, that same type of layering effect for me, which is what I love about palms. You can really layer on top of them. So Harlequin, Florica, which are sun-based, Marie's, which can handle the sun, and Auntie, which can handle the sun. Harlequin cannot. They need to be a little bit protected. Exotica, which is a nice bright spot in the garden. I love this flashlight kind of look where they're, real bright and really can take a dark space and really keep its color really well. And they do a fantastic job of that. And I use them for that particular location. This is a real dark spot in my garden, and they do super, super good. So those are Exoticas, shade tolerant plants. To the back here are Congos. Those are called Rojo Congos. And again, a nice shade wide leaf plant. The bottom of these plants might be hard to tell, but they have kind of a red tone to them, which is pretty impressive overall for those guys. And they just give you a nice broad, real tropical leaf. So these are kind of new to me. These here are, I love this heart-shaped leaf. These are variegated ficus. Ficus are troopers. They're an overall tough plant, and I really enjoy working with them. And these are kind of new. They really like the shade. Most ficus really enjoy the sun. So we're gonna kind of try all these out and see how they go. But they've been in the garden about 8 months now, and they're doing super well. So I think that I'm gonna start using them. About the 1 year mark, I start sharing them with my clients. But overall, they're doing super good. Below here is pretty much a tapestry of succulents. I have an irrigation lapse here, so I chose to do succulents because this is they're just kind of a no fuss plant. So I've been really able to play a little bit with them. I put some of my koi fish accents in there to kind of give them some interest. But I've really grown to really like this little section of the garden, and it really just takes very, very little care. So I'm gonna keep it. Along the back area here as my foundation planting, I chose 6 Eracurie Palms, and they're doing a really nice job of giving me that pretty immediate coverage. Now I brought those in about 6 foot, 7 foot tall, and they've been in a couple of years, and they've really just taken off. And Eracurie Palms do a fantastic job. I would say stick with keeping them in the north side of your garden, of your area. As long as they get a little bit of protection from the sun, they stay nice and green. Now they are also called golden cane palms because if they're in the sun, all of those stems that you see on these guys are going to turn a very yellow gold color, which I can say it's really not my favorite. I really do like them when they're a little bit shady or a little bit more protected. They really hold on to that green color, and I think to me that's really when they show off their value. So, and they're doing a really, really good job of that, and a nice job of protecting us from any sight of our neighbor's yard. It really kind of helps give us that cover that we're looking for. This is not because I don't like my neighbors. I like my neighbors. But as they say, palms make the best neighbors. So, and these definitely do. It gives us both a little bit of privacy from each other, which is nice. Next, in the gaps of what the Eracurie Palms are going to do, I've got green shelled ginger. Now those will bloom a white flower. I know it's probably hard to see, but those will bloom a white flower there. And they get about 8 foot tall by 8 foot wide, so they're really going to take over and fill that lower gap. And they're just an awesome plant to work with. And they will, we're in zone 10A, but they'll handle temperatures all the way into the teens, which is, for a tropical plant, they're a trooper. So I use them pretty often where I can, but again, they like a little bit protection. They'll take more sun than the Eracuries will, but they like morning sun, and they like obviously shade. But that late afternoon sun, if they don't have some protection from, the sun, then you might see some browning on those guys. So I've got it dappled in a couple small palm trees here. You'll see the Pringles palm that I've got here, and then this has become one of my favorite palms. This is an Obi Island palm, and I'm in love with this leaf. Now I've been in the garden about a year, and then this leaf is pretty divided here, but they do have just a nice span of a solid leaf, which I think that it's just a a whole different look when it comes to palms, and I love that change up from the Auricas to the Obi Island palms. So I plan to use more of this guy. We call him Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he's definitely a centerpiece in the garden, and I love what he does right here in this walkway. This palm tree here is called an Eracurie Palm. I planted him about 8 foot tall about 2 years ago. And I planted him, and I planted the hurricane palm that you see right there, which was a chore to get into this particular spot, but gosh, I love it because these cascading fronds really do such a beautiful job of framing this walkway. I'm just in love with what they offer. So the reason why I got him so big, you can definitely get them smaller, these Eracurie palms, but again, I'm working with a really narrow space, so I needed something that really had a nice tight bunching of a canopy, and they do a fantastic job of that. So it'll have a real thick canopy, however it will kind of give you that upright flare. So you can walk through it, walk by it, and for years I've been able to do that in a real small space, and it's accommodated me the last couple of years really well. And as it grows bigger, and it matures out to about 16 foot tall, but as it grows bigger, it'll even do a better job of that. So I'm really, really pleased with this palm. It's definitely found its home here. Right, now you're interested. Move your bed, bud. Okay, so these two guys here are fire spikes, and these petals, these blooms that the fire spikes give off, the hummingbirds absolutely love them. It's one of their favorite foods. So I have put them into so many different landscapes throughout our area because, you know, who doesn't want to see hummingbirds coming to their house regularly? If you have hummingbirds that visit you, you notice that they come in consistently during their feeding time. So they'll come in, you know, every 15-20 minutes and feed and feed and feed. So you really do get the benefits of seeing them pretty often. So I will put them near a window or near a walkway, somewhere I'll be and I'll get to enjoy seeing them. So I've put a couple of these guys here, and I put, you know, 2 to 3 or so in just about every landscape that I do, just to kind of bring the hummingbirds into most of the gardens. You'll notice that I've put in some potted plants. And when you're working with a narrow space, it allows you to really get creative with the plants that you choose, because, for instance, this is a Dracaena, a green Dracaena plant, and I love that hairy-carry nature. It's totally got a Cousin It vibe, and it's doing the trick for me in that particular spot because I have a gap in my landscape there, and I think it's going to do a nice job of really creating some nice just some nice denseness and thickness. But if I were to put it in the ground, it would go crazy. So it being in the pot gives me the benefit of both worlds, and I think it's pretty cool. So we have Obi-Wan Kenobi over there and Cousin It here. Back here, this is one area that I definitely wanted a little bit more coverage in. This is a spot that, you know, my neighbor has an entertaining space directly across from here. My entertaining space is pretty much directly across from them. So this is a spot we both really wanted to share a bit of privacy, a bit of coverage. So these Coleusia do a fantastic job of that. So anywhere you really need a good dense bit of coverage, throw in some Coleusias. Kind of create a hedge or a wall. They do a really good job of being a green wall space, and they're really starting to fill in here. They're going to take a little bit of time before they become really nice and solid and manicured, but that is definitely the look that I'm going for here. I kind of want just a green backdrop here, and it's starting to turn into that. So again, we have a pot here with a couple Harlequin portalines that are again crazy and, you know, real airy, and I love the architectural, you know, stemming of those guys. So I'm really gonna enjoy to see them grow tall and big and a bit crazy in that really narrow spot. I have got some fox face agaves here. These are the thornless, which I love. I've got an Americana variegated agave there, some bromeliads dashed down, and they're doing super well. A couple banana leaf crotons garden here. So, I get this question so often with people, and I'm going to share it because it happens in my own house. This is a double Alexander palm, and I had planted this guy at the same time I planted the other Alexander palm on the opposite side. And I don't know if I planted it over magic beans or what may have happened, but this guy is, I would say, he's 10 foot taller than the other Alexander palm. They both get the same amount of water. This one probably gets a little bit more sun, is all I can think of, but I don't know why it's so much taller than the other one, but I'll show you the other one in a minute, and you know, your guess is as good as mine. Anyway, we appreciate his effort, and you know, I don't know if a beanstalk's coming later, but we really do like the way he looks in the garden. This is a double spindle palm, and then I have a matching double spindle palm on the other side of my wall waterfall. I chose to do a little bit of, you know, water is such a big part of landscaping to me. I do try to introduce that into all of my installations. It really does create that softness that you need amongst the green landscape. To the back of this, again, I wanted some coverage. I don't know if you can kind of see a little bit through there, but you know, that's my neighbor's entertaining deck. And so this guy to the back here is an Eracurie palm. A lot of people call him the cold coconut because he does have a coconut frond type of look, which, you know, I love their tropical feel. They will go down into the teens as far as cold weather goes, and they grow super, super slow. This guy is not breaking any speed records. You know, he is, I mean, I put him in about 4 years ago, and I bet he's grown maybe a foot, you know, so he's really, not even that. He's really, really done a nice job of kind of giving us that long-term privacy. And, you know, as he grows up and does kind of create that upper canopy feel, I'll start planting some smaller palms underneath of him that are going to grow slow. They're going to give us that same layering effect. And, you know, that's what palms do for you. They do give you a nice bit of immediate coverage, and then just, you know, tap in some slower growing palms just below them, and then you'll get the benefits of both worlds. And, you know, you can't go wrong. I don't think you can go wrong with palms. There's some pothos vines that, you know, I've allowed to just kind of do their natural thing. I'm not a big fan of too much hardscape, so I will bring in a lot of green, a lot of softscape if you haven't noticed. And these guys, I know they get mixed reviews. You know, some people love them, some people hate them, and I think they're great for a particular spot in the garden, but this is my spot for them for right now. So we'll kind of see how they do, but I can appreciate that big leaf that they offer. I love that look on those. As you come down and you enter my backyard area, this is the poor double Alexander that was planted at the same time as my other.
It is much smaller.
That's right. I don't quite know what happened there, but you know, you know, we're given encouragement, and you know, I don't know, maybe sing to it. I don't know. So we're gonna fertilize it and try to get it to go up and do what its brother's doing. So just below that is a little bit of coverage there, and that is Sanchezia. And Sanchezia, if you guys are fortunate enough to get a grouping of Sanchezia in your garden, do it, because that leaf structure, that leaf detail is so beautiful on that plant. It can handle sun, it can handle shade, but I love that coloring that it offers. It's a bright yellow amongst a dark, dark green. And the more shade you get, the leaf almost turns black with almost like a white coloring of that edging that's there, which, I don't know, I just think that plant does, it gives you a lot to work with. So if you're in the sun, you can have it's a little bit brighter. If you're in the shade, it's just a different kind of brightness. It's almost like a spotlight brightness against a dark leaf. So it does a good job both ways. I dappled in a quarter line because, you know, I'm quarter line crazy. This is a bolero in here. It's a nice little shady spot. A couple mango crotons that got hit with some cold, and they're just really starting to flush back out. It's taken them some time, but we're being patient with them. Down here is a buccaneer palm. They grow incredibly slow. So if you have an area where you've got some taller palm trees that you needed pretty immediate coverage, and but you know that at some point, you know, they're going to really take off and be well above that view line that you wanted coverage for. Throw some buccaneer palms in there, because they're going to grow at such a slower rate underneath of those, and then by the time that those taller trees have taken off and are outside that line, those buccaneer palms will really pop in and thicken up and fill that gap, and then they'll fill that gap for years, because it takes them a very long time to reach their maturity. So I've got a buccaneer palm here, and it's kind of like, it's like a palm here in waiting. It kind of doesn't belong here just yet, but I know that these guys are going to take off, and when they do, this silver coloring on this 7-gallon buccaneer palm will really take off. So I found luck in that. And again, we have just some mango crotons just to finish off the edge of the border. Now this is the ending point of my this side buffer. I'm going to switch around and we're going to go to the other side there. But you know, I love sharing these videos because I kind of want you to see, you know, I'm in a suburban area, just under 11,000 square foot lot. So I don't have a lot of room to work with, as a lot of my clients don't. And I kind of want you to be able to see what you're able to achieve in such a small space. It doesn't have to be, you know, 5 acres of land to really create that botanical garden that you're looking for. You really can create a stunning garden that you want to sit in the evening and, you know, have a cup of coffee in the morning or a glass of wine in the evening. This is my spot. I've realized that, you know, enjoying these spaces, that's what fills my cup. So I hope if you're watching this video, you're probably my people. So, you know, I hope that this helps, and I hope it inspires you guys to do the same thing. So I'm going to pan around to share with you kind of what you can do in a small garden space, and, you know, let you see what, you know, a typical garden, a typical yard looks like. And I hope this gives you inspiration to really just be able to jazz up your space. So let's take a look at the other side. Follow me. So over here, this is the side of the house, and you know, again, I'm working with some pots, and I love this key lime tree. If you guys can find a place for a key lime tree and you're in our area, it is the tree to have. I get so many limes. It's perfect because when you do want them, you can just bring out a basket and get a dozen limes and bring them inside. It is very, very fruitful, and it doesn't need a lot of space. I can keep this size for years and years and years. So, you know, definitely find a spot for a key lime tree if you can. These here, excuse me, buddy. These here are antilus, which are in the quarterline family, and most of the time you'll see them and they're, you know, 3 foot tall, and it's in Florida. Everything grows. Everything grows. So these guys would continue to grow as tall as, I don't know, I should do an experiment, but these guys are pretty tall for a typical quarterline. But I like the way they look in the garden. They're leaning away from the house, so they're kind of really giving me an upper area, an upper canopy to you know, kind of connect with the palms on the other side. And I love their look. So, you know, with quarterlines, they're a plant that really gives you more and more plants, so you can cut off any head that you don't want and propagate it and just put it right in the ground anywhere else. So a lot of times I do that into my pots and into other areas that I just kind of a little bit of an empty spot. So so they do a nice job of that. But I'm going to continue letting these guys get big and thick and tall and really fill in this side yard to kind of give me that weight that I'm looking for in the side yard. But because they're so vertical, they don't take up much space. Just down below here, I've got some ice tone crotons, and they just like that little bit of shade, that little protection, and they give me kind of a nice variation of bright and dark colors. So they do a good job of that. This is an agave rostrata. And he's, you know, potted because of course he'll go crazy. So I really like him in the garden. He's probably needing to be potted up. Down here, sorry, my neighbor's AC is super loud. Down here is a giant leopard's ear. It's a big leafed plant, and I am in love with it. I'm using it around waterfalls and fountains. It's just, to me, it looks like just a big old lily pad, and they do so good, but they do need the shade or the protection. So this is the perfect spot for them. They get a little bit of filtered light. Otherwise, they do a nice job of just kind of covering anything you want covered because of that giant leaf. Does your dog do this? Everywhere you walk, he's just right there. He's in the perfect spot for himself.
He's a little male model.
There, isn't he? So we're back at the front, and I've got some Coleusia again. These are small 3-gallon. I'm hoping they're going to get around that 5-foot height here to kind of give me that wall, so that way this feels like a little bit more of a secret garden-ish, more seclusion. I think they're going to do a nice job of becoming a nice hedge right here. So I'm going to wait on them to do that. In the pot here is a tapioca. This guy is really cool leaf coloring. Look at those stems. That red stem is just, I just think it's just so striking. So I don't know a lot about this particular plant, hence why I'm trying it out in the pot first. So this will be my first year with it. Once I get through this first year, see how it handles the summer rains, see how it handles our cold temps, and you know, I'm kind of have to be a little ruthless in a garden. You know, if it's just not going to do well, you gotta, you know, donate it or find another home for it, because it's just not going to last here. So or I won't be putting in other people's gardens in my design. So this guy, we're gonna see how he does. Overall, I've been super excited with him because it gives you that tropical feel, gives you a lot of that color without going too crazy. So we'll get an update on that one. Well, that pretty much concludes the side yard area. I told you it was pretty small. I hope this gave you some inspiration and some ideas of what you might want to do in your own garden. Again, for those of you who need a little bit more than inspiration and you need a little help, again, we specialize in residential landscape design and installation, and we'd really be happy to meet with you, and we create a design for every install that we do. Check out our website. I'll put the link down below, and there's a how it works page. It gives you some more information about us as a company, and also there is a get inspired page, which is super helpful. So if you're in the Treasure Coast or Space Coast area, there's a list of plants and palms and accent plants that you can incorporate in your own space, and it tells you a little bit about their requirements, you know, so it gives you a little bit of a leg up of things that I use pretty commonly amongst my landscape. But overall, I hope this helps, and if you have run across any questions, or if there's something that I just didn't list in the video, there's a lot to work with out here. Stick it in the comments down below with maybe a timestamp of what you're meaning, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that I can. At this point, I want to do a shout out to my super amazing camera guy, my youngest,
could you say that again?
Beloved son.
Yep, thank you.
And we'll switch his camera around so you guys can see this guy.
So, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment as well. Anything you want. She's the woman. Hashtag mom's awesome. Yeah, cool.
See, there you go. And then Steele says, peace, we out. Thank you guys. See you at the next door. You're supposed to pose. Say hi, plant people. Say hi, plant people.
Hey!
I take my gardening seriously.
Steele.
I take my gardening seriously. Hi, plant people. All right, that's all we're gonna get from him. He could be a little bit more excited, but